Greetings, Jedi traders. David here of TradingFibs.com to bring you the daily trend for May 19th, 2016, week 20 of the year. As always, please seek financial advisement when trading with your money, as these videos are for educational purposes only. Support your knowledge in the market. See what's going through my head on any given day. Always make sure you have a solid trading plan and always manage your stop when placing a trade. Happy Thursday, everybody. Let's jump right in to trading session focus for week 20. That's right, 4 major trends today. 3 markets, 5 setups for a total of 184 ticks. Not too bad. Again, NQ in the lead. It was trend number 1, setup number 1. That was our trend setup of the day. Again, you can catch the blog here at TradingFibs.com. Each week I go ahead and post each day and update it. And then at the end of the week we have our weekly recap. Take a look at the trend. There it was, right out, almost out of the gate, post 15 minutes of the market open, and the horses were out, and we were downside. Sell signal coming down. Pre-econ data, we already had mixed data out. We had post FOMC volatility as well, possible June rate hike on the table, but it was the market session open. It didn't take too long for us to finally line up all the charts together. Better setup on the YM, better setup on the ES, 3 charts in the red, but we did have 3 charts on the red on the NQ, so all 3 to the downside, and bank. That's all it took, 3 charts to get in. Again, didn't jump on the ES. Would have been a nice runner, but took the NQ and the YM to the downside. Only managed to get 7 ticks out of the ES today. Let's take a look at the economic data for the session. We were again taking a look at, there was the leading indicators. That was the big one. Besides jobless claims, that's right, jobless claims, pre-market, fully fed. But as we ran into leading indicators showing 0.6 shot up to confirm April was a solid month for econ data. Remember, in my limited knowledge here, the fact that if economic data is good, that means rate hike, that means markets come down. So you got to interpret it almost in the opposite of what we usually take a look at. Remember the good old days when economic data actually meant something. All right, so let's jump right into the charts here. Let's take a look at the AD line is price action on the AD line. Again, there's that initial move to the downside here on a 10-minute chart. If you go to a 1-minute chart, we actually had a little bit of chop here. But again, majority of the early morning session was to the downside, a little bit of chop down there. And market action eventually just managed to make its way all the way back up. So you're going to see that on the 5-minute charts here in a moment. But again, here you can see the AD line well below the pivot in 750, so still pretty much a downside movement, but regaining some of that strength as it held above the 10 EMA. Oops, there we go. All right, let's take a look at the 5-minute charts. Let's take a look at the 5-minute charts. There we go. Taking a look at crude. Again, crude having a really nice session back to the upside as yesterday's EIA report was pretty much choppy for the majority of the session. Breakout from today's open. There was the nice move to the upside. We'll take a look at that on the range charts. Right up to the daily gap, closing that out. And pretty much settling at the Globex high. Taking a look at the ES here, price action again. Take a look at all 3 indices. You can see there was that initial letdown on all 3 of the markets. Heikin Ashi bars, solid bodies, tails down, all charts in the red. And there it was on the 5-minute chart. A little bit of chops at the lows. Cam low, and cam low down here. Pick any other line at the end of the day. But it was the resurgence of the market back to upside. But yeah. Take a look at that. Not very exciting. The fact that we just pretty much ended where? Just pretty much floated back up to today's open. Big old yawner there. All right, so there's our 5-minute charts. Let's jump into the daily trends as this trader and all in the trading room taking a look at the Heikin Ashi and the range bars. There it is. There was the beauty setup in the morning session. Taking a look at the, actually jumping ahead of myself here. We'll work backwards here today. We usually go start with crude. Let's start with ES today. So ES to the downside, sell signal here. All 3 charts in the red and then 4 charts for market internals. But again, you can see the majority of the session was to the downside. And then we just reversed back up to today's open. So what are you looking for? Multiple entries. Well, you always want to try and catch a runner. So you want as many charts in sync. So that leaves a lot out of this mid-chop session until you got charts back in sync. So more towards the latter end of the session, where at least you had 3 charts back in the green and then 4 charts in the green. Not saying he had a complete runaway as price action you see came down, but that puts you out of that trade, keeps you out of that, and then back to the upside to finish off the session. So there is our ES. Let's take a look at the NQ. NQ also same picture as we saw, price action to the downside for that first move. A lot of towards the European close session. Again, we're back downside with 3 charts in the red, but there really was nothing smooth about it when you take a look at the charts here. Sell signal down and a lot of indecision bars as price action 1, 2, 3 in the red set up for a good setup to the short. So if you hung on to your original stop, you probably were stopped out. Really didn't give you a re-entry down here. So, but then around the post. Around 11:36 there, post European close, there it was, another entry to the south on the NQ, which right back upside, took out that stop at break even, no go on that one. It took a couple more hours for price action to finally set itself up. You only have a 2-bar confirmation here, 2 charts here. That's the chart up here, second chart. It took a while for it to get back in sync, so set up at the PM session right over here. If you missed that first one, you had a pullback opportunity right here and to the upside. So again, for the most part, just leaving the session, pretty much the PM session alone in the afternoon was my goal, as I had a really nice entry on the first part of the day. Let's take a look at the YM. Price action on the YM, same picture downside here, sell signal. All 4 charts in syncs, 50 below the 144. That's what you're looking for every day, guys. A runaway trend. You can't get it every day. Doesn't mean we're going to just completely run it down, but have no fear. Markets can still come down lower, even when you think markets can't go down any lower. And there it was, another resurgence down to the downside here as we get into the European close. A lot of chop. And then towards the latter part of the afternoon, you got the 50 now above the 144. Didn't make things easy, so it was really towards the last hour, finally bond market closed. We got a little bit of lift on YM, but pretty much chiseled out, and that's where we ended up the session. And let's finish up with the crude here. Crude again with a nice little lift back upside. Nice to see crude going back upside as we got some nice upper levels. I like to see the market come back and tag as 50 above 144. It took a while, almost 3 hours of crude open, but there it was, 1, 2, 3, and 4. 4 charts in the green. That's all you need to wait for. Eliminate all the other entries, and you had yourself a nice move. All right, let's take a look at the fib projections. How did we do today? Do we hit any? Let's take a look. Oh, look at that. NQ right to the fib target low. That's right. Chiseled out of there for a couple of hours and then eventually lifted back upside. Same picture on the YM here. ES just a smidgen above the target low, but again, never running exactly to the target. Always front run your targets if you're taking contracts off, and so a hit is a hit, so 2 out of 3, and coming pretty darn close on the ES. Let's take a look at the daily gaps here. Daily gaps today, price action again, still sitting there at that 23%. Not impressive candle here, as 23% also on the ES and NQ as well at the 38%. You can see a lot of the daily action getting very boring. Green, red, green, red, green, red, all over the place. Rollover, excuse me, on the crude here as we finally break that high, 48.38. We are headed towards Fibonacci target levels, and there it is, 50.33 upside. We might go grab that, but again, we got open gaps downside, so that's a little concern. If we continue upside, then eventually crude will come back down and close out those open gaps. But there's that high, looking at 55.41 if crude manages to get up there. All right, taking a look at ahead for tomorrow. Daily big pick, as we see here, the range on the week has already widened, 43.92. The high of the week as we tap the low, 42.8075. Great volume this week. Monday just under par, but Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday doing really well. Yep, there it is. Downward trend still intact. I know yesterday we tried to break above that 50. No go. So bulls, I know they're trying to get their teeth into that market, but being a little unsuccessful. But hey, ticks are ticks. Trend is trend. Intraday, you need to be ready in both directions. So take a look at that right off the low of today. Managed to buck right back up. And so looking ahead to tomorrow, if NQ continues on the overnight intraday session to the upside, watch for the 50 EMA and the 144 up ahead. ES and YM, same picture as coming off the lows here at 2022 today and 17,297. So we're in a gap here, 5,200, 5,200 on both ES and YM, but we're still holding T3 moving averages downside, so downtrend still in control. Hey guys, I forgot to put up the crude. Let's get that up quickly here. Crude, again, T3 moving averages, there they are, T3 moving averages to the side here, again pulling back. But gotta love that 4-hour chart. Look at that, bounce right off the 50, 144. This is an uptrend as we can see. And then taking a look at the 1-minute chart as we see price X, not 1-minute chart, sorry, daily chart here. Fib extension and 100% level as we make our way up to 55.75. Where'd we see that number before? I don't know. Let's look at the daily gap. How about that right up there, 55.41. So nice upside target. If we can get that, that'd be beaut. But it's going to take the intraday pick and everything else going along with that to lift that one up. Let's go back to the daily pick. So there is your crude. Volume on the crude. Nice crude action today as well. All right, so there it is for price action tomorrow. Watch for always both intraday, both sides. Be ready to go long, to go short. But big picture, a little bit tough here to say that we're back in an uptrend as price action continues to hold down side, at least on the 4-hour and below the 50s at this point, and 200 period moving averages still approaching below. All right, taking a look ahead to tomorrow. A little light on the daily. We do have a Fed speaker up pre-market. Existing home sales, Red Star event, so that's going to be a big one. Watch for that rig count in the afternoon session. That could have a little sweep on the crude. That concludes an insight into the daily trend on the indices. Oh, before I go, how can I forget? Let's jump into that. Been promising the last couple of days at Apple. Where are we at on Apple? Well, 52-week low down here at 89.47 as we sit below the 50 and the 200 period moving averages. We do have an open gap up here at 103.91. So what is the likelihood we close that open gap? Well, right now on a 4-hour chart, we're just starting to push back upside on T3 crossover. But again, big trend is still downside, so not looking very good. But Heiken Ashi Colt, the oscillator study shows that we are back in a buy position here. Again, taking a look at the 50-tick range chart for the majority of this week, we have been upside. So the signal on Apple to get back in was right back here around 92. We saw that on Monday's price action. Well, where did that match? That matched our 100-tick range chart, long-term range chart. Again, if you're looking even for an earlier entry, you get down into a 25-tick range chart as well. But watching the 15-minute chart again, you can see we had a nice pullback on Thursday's price action. But again, getting that lift again, T3 moving averages, the 15-minute chart holding upside. So as far as this technical setup here, price action, you're fighting a bigger trend on a 4-hour chart and a daily. However, the intraday setup is showing a nice positive lift here as the T3 moving average is showing up a 4-hour upside. So possibilities that Apple lifts could be. You'd want to make sure that on a daily 50-tick, you're back upside. T3 moving averages back both in the green. 100-tick is holding. 15-minute upside, that's good, and that can make our way back up to open gap. But you're going to have to watch for that resistance at the 4-hour 50 and then 192. There's the 200 period moving, 144 on the 4-hour, which actually maxes up with the open gap up here on the daily chart. Hey guys, yesterday IBD, Investors Business Daily, went ahead and posted some great ETFs with a buy point coming up. Let's take a look at those charts here. Let me post that for you. There we go. Sky, an ETF here with a buy point for IBD at 30.05. So the question is on the bigger picture, well, where could I have gotten in on Sky, if not at least at the short term? price action again on the bigger picture. You look at a 4-hour, you look at a daily, starting to look like at Apple like we are now. T3 moving averages can lift. We can change trend here. You could see back a couple weeks ago that was the buy point up here as the 100-tick range chart showed along. The 50-tick range chart, the 15-minute chart was already in along, and so you didn't have to wait to get up here to 30.05 to get into a buy point and break the high. You could have gotten, and again, this is if you are watching it. I always love to pull up a chart and see where was the possible opportunity. So here's the short-term chart is for this week. This was yesterday. Here, price action, T3 moving averages. You can see crossing over to the upside, just like we were just looking on Apple. How do you get in? How do you hold this move? Well, there you go. There's the 4-hour chart a couple days ago, or that was last week. You got T3 cross, 50 above 144. Here's the daily holding upside. And then we have the 100-tick range chart up in the green, and then 15-minute chart. Obviously, to get back in, I would wait for a 15-minute to break back upside. You see that the T3 moving, the 50 and the 144 are still holding upside here. So that is a surge of upwards trend. So the 15-minute chart holding upside, so you don't once again not have to hold up and wait for that 30.05 and breakout. Could have had an earlier setup. All right, taking a look at the ITA there, price action a couple weeks ago was the buy point. Again, another ETF they were looking at with a buy point here at 125.95. Again, breakout almost of the highs, but again, what do you look for? Again, unfortunately, the buy point back here, if you're watching this ETF, you probably would have been back in way a couple weeks ago as the price action broke upside on the T3 moving averages, on a 50, on a 100-tick range chart. 15-minute chart at the time was in the green. But, hey, here we go. This is back in mid-February as price action broke upside on T3 moving averages. Maybe you waited for the pullback here in March. And then let's take a look at the short term now. As we could say, here is the last 2 weeks. We're kind of chiseling out, so not the best time to enter. So if you want to get into this with an IBD buy point of 125.95, I would wait for the 15-minute chart to get back up. You still have it. You still have slight technical momentum to the upside as the 50 is still above the 144 on a 15-minute chart. You want to make sure the T3 moving averages get back upside. If they get back upside and back in the hold in the green here, then your 50-tick range chart will be back in the green as we see numerous attempts here. Like here, back almost a week and a half ago, almost 2 weeks ago, that lift here, again, 4-hour chart's been in a lift for some time now, and the daily holding upside. Again, I'm not following these. I'm not recommending these. I'm only telling you guys out there, if you see some advice, you see a post, IBD does a great job on their fundamentals, you go ahead, you use my templates, you put the stock in, you put the ETFs here see where the optimum buy point is based on not just a breakout, but again, it's technical momentum. And where's your highest probability is when T3 moving averages are above the key moving averages, and there you go, you're holding above 4-hour chart. Daily holding above the 50 and the 200. Intraday, just looking for a T3 moving average crossover, you can throw a 50 period moving average on here to assist you in that as well. All right, so that concludes an insight into the daily trend. Feel free to stop by at tradingfibs.com or any of my social media outlets to obtain more information. My mantra of one simple strategy: any market, any chart, any time frame will keep you disciplined. You can find me every day on Twitter at TradingFibs. And as always, I leave the crystal ball to the experts. Make sure to check out my futures, ETF, and market cap leaders every week. And every weekend I go ahead and I post the big picture for the week in a variety of different markets, from the futures to the market cap leaders, industrials, FX pairs, a variety. And check out the weekly supplemental. All you have to do is click on the blue link there, and there you go. You got 98 pages of fun there of charts to look at, which based on this setup here gives you an idea where are we short term and where are we in the long term trend. I only trade what's in front of me and on my charts, and as always, leave your bias at the door when trading. Have yourselves a blue zone day, good night, and good trading.